NFL Week 10 best bets. We got some spreads, we got some over-unders, we got a teaser, we got a player prop coming your guys' way. Now last week, let's do a quick recap like we always do. We went 9-5, a solid week. We were 6-1 on player props, plus 2.8 units. And that took us up to the season of plus 15.51 units across the board. Hopefully we've been helping you guys out make some money like usual. Today we got our 2 spreads, 2 over-unders, a player prop, and a teaser coming your way. Our Sunday night video, that's our parlay video with some more player props. But subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Hopefully we've been helping you make some money not only in these videos, but also we do our daily NBA best bets videos as well as some college basketball picks in there. So hopefully we've been helping you out. Also click that like button if you got a second. It really helps the channel grow. And comment down below what you guys are betting on. I'm curious. I love to see what you guys are betting on every single week. Now, help us out. We're trying to hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if everyone that watches this video subscribed, we not only would pass 13,000, which we're only 400 away from, we'd pass 14, maybe even 15,000. So continue to show that love and support. But let's hop into some spread picks, and we're going to start with the Seahawks, plus 3.5, taking on the Packers. Now, you got the Seahawks. They're coming off their bye, and they're taking on the Packers, who started Jordan Love that last week, scored 7 points, lost 13-7 to the Chiefs. Now, I do expect Aaron Rodgers to be back, but I also expect Russell Wilson to be back for the Seahawks, and I think that will make the world of difference. Now, this game will be in Lambeau Field. Seahawks are traveling. They're on the road, and the Seahawks, they're chilling. They're 3-5, not too great. They're actually not really chilling. They're not looking all too hot. They need to get some wins under their belt to make the playoffs, and I think that starts today. Now, if there's anything I've learned betting the NFL, watching the NFL over the last 10, 15 years of my life, it's that you don't bet against Russell Wilson. And granted, Russell Wilson hasn't been in the NFL for 15 years, but he still, when the odds are stacked against him, he always seems to pull through, and I think that's what he will do today. Now, you can say the Seahawks defense has been bad all year, but I'd kind of push back a little bit on that. The Seahawks defense hasn't looked terrible the past couple weeks. Now, granted, has been against weaker competition. Today, they will likely take on Aaron Rodgers, but they've been able to stop the run. They just put in Blitz Boy, or as people call him, Jamal Adams. They put him at the line of scrimmage. He just runs behind and gets the running back. And you look at the Packers offense, it's been predicated on the run. Now, granted, they were playing against the Cardinals 2 weeks ago on Thursday Night Football. They didn't have Devontae Adams, Allen Lazard, all their wide receivers. And last week, obviously, they were starting Jordan Love, and they didn't really trust him to throw the ball. Can't blame him after I saw him throw it. But either way, I like the Seahawks plus 3.5. Maybe they sprinkle on the money line. I think they got a chance. That's Logan's upset pick on our podcast. So I'm going to root for it. I'll be riding with the Seahawks plus 3.5. I think this is a field goal game that they can potentially win outright. Now moving on to my next spread pick, taking the Browns plus 2.5. Now they're minus 110. And they're taking on the Patriots. Now, this is going to be a fun matchup. We got 2 5-4 teams. On one hand, you got the Patriots, who are on a roll. They've won 3 straight games versus the Jets, Chargers, and the Panthers. Now, are those the best 3 teams in the NFL? I would say probably not, but you got a team on the other hand, the Browns. They've won 2 of 3. They're finally starting to get healthier. Granted, they kind of took a step back in that department, as now Nick Chubb likely will miss this game due to health and safety protocols, but they have won 2 of their last 3 against decent teams, Broncos, Steelers, and the Bengals. And so, like I said, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt likely both still out again today, but Dearness Johnson has stepped up in the past. He stepped up against the Broncos at a big day. I think he can do the same things and fill in those shoes nicely. Now, in the end, I think majority of NFL football games are won in the trenches, and I'd argue the Browns have not only the better offensive line, but also the better defensive line in this matchup. The Patriots, you know they don't want Mac Jones throwing it 70 times a game, 50 to 70. He will never throw 70 times. If he throws 70 times, there's something wrong. But the Patriots want to run the ball, set up with the run. Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, all these guys, they want to run the ball. But that's hard to do against the team, the Browns, that are allowing the 3rd fewest rushing yards per game at just under 85 per game. And the Patriots, they know that they got to stop the Browns from running the ball, but sometimes it's easier said than done. The Browns have arguably the best offensive line in the NFL, and the Patriots are still giving up over 108 rushing yards per game, which is right around middle of the pack in the NFL. The Browns got rid of Odell Beckham Jr. Maybe by the time this video goes live, or by the time that this game is played, Odell Beckham Jr. might be on the Patriots for all we know. But either way, you look at it, they looked like they just lifted a huge weight off their shoulders in Week 9 against the Bengals, blowing them out. The offense flourished, and I think that could be the case here today. And after what Mac Jones did to Spider Burns, the Panthers defensive end, whether you say it was intentional or not, they're due some bad karma, and I think that comes in the way of Myles Garrett coming off the edge. So I'll ride at the Browns plus 2.5, and I think they win this game outright. Now let's do some over-unders. We're going to take an over. Chargers-Vikings over 52.5 points, minus 105 on BetMGM. Now, the Vikings have played in a total of 8 games. Yes, 8. Put them up. Now, 4 games at home, 4 games at road. All 4 games at home, they've gone under the total that was set for the game. All 4 road games, they've gone over. Well, good thing for us because they are on the road today in SoFi Stadium taking on the LA Chargers. Now, the Chargers, who's once feared defense, which I've come on this channel many a time and said, I love this Chargers defense. Yeah, well, no, it stinks. It has been bad the past couple weeks. They've given up 42, 34, 27, and 24 points over the last 4 games. The cornerback's banged up. Asante Samuel Jr. We'll see if he plays, but still, they can't stop the run if their life depended on it. And hey, here comes Dalvin Cook, one of the best running backs in the NFL. The Vikings, like I said, they've been putting up points on the road for whatever reason, and their defense isn't playing all too great itself. They just gave up 34 points to the Ravens, 20 points to Cooper Rush, the backup QB for the Cowboys, and then 28 to Sam Darnold. I'm just not sold on that Vikings defense. They're pretty banged up as well. And so I'll take the over. I think this one could be a good old-fashioned shootout in SoFi Stadium. I'll take the over, 52.5 points. Now moving on, with every over, there's got to be an under. And I'm taking the Colts versus Jaguars under 48 points, minus 110 on BetMGM. Now, the Colts have been in some high-scoring affairs recently. They played on Thursday Night Football last week, scored 75 combined points with the Jets, 65 the week before against the Titans. But today they play the Jaguars, who have scored 7 and 9 points the past 2 weeks. And their defense, led by Josh Allen, just stopped Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills last week, holding them to 6 points. And it showed some improvements over the past couple weeks. Now, granted, they had Josh Allen playing like a maniac last week. But last year, both of the matchups went under this total. And I think they've gotten even better on both defensive sides. And I just have not seen a lot from the Jags offense that necessarily warrants a high 47, 48 point total. Now, the Colts, we all know, they want to run the ball. They've seen Carson Wentz. Yeah, don't blame them. They want to run the ball a little bit more, but it's going to be hard to do. Now, last week they ran the ball all over the Jets, but the Jets give up the 6th most rushing yards per game at over 133 rushing yards a game. Now, the Jaguars, love them or hate them, their defense hasn't been terrible against the run. They're actually giving up the 12th fewest rushing yards per game at just over 103 per game. And over the last 3 games, they're giving up the 2nd fewest in the NFL. They've allowed 15 fewer rush yards on the road, which they're on the road today. They see this being a lower scoring divisional matchup. 48 points, too many in my opinion for this AFC South showdown. So I'll take it. I'll take it and we'll run with it. Now let's do a teaser. We've been struggling on these the past couple weeks, but I think we're getting back after it today. It's a 7-point teaser plus 130. We're taking the Bucs -2, the Broncos +4, and the Raiders +9.5. Now, first leg, the Bucs, they traveled to take on the Washington football team, who they did play in the playoffs last year. Same exact place, same exact quarterback matchup, Tom Brady versus Taylor Heineke. But I just don't see the Bucs losing this game. Now, the Bucs, I will say, I would not bet them to cover the spread, 9 to 9.5 points, depending on what you get it at. They've not played well on the road this season, but I do think they are a better team and their defense is playing better, so I think they can get a win by at least a field goal, and I think they can get the first leg of the teaser down. The second leg will be the Broncos, and they're coming off a big win versus the Dallas Cowboys, absolutely blowing them out. Was it like 32-16? Now, granted, it was probably 32-0 for the majority of the game. Cowboys scored some garbage time touchdowns, but could this be a big letdown spot for them? Potentially, they're at home, but again, give me +4 points. I mean, the regular spread is about 3, but I'll take it all the way up to +4. And the Broncos, they're at home. Like I said, the Eagles, they have to travel against all the way across the coast or all the way across the U.S. to Colorado, take on in Mile High Stadium. You never know about the altitude, how that can affect the game. So I think the Broncos +4. The Eagles have looked better. Their offense has looked better the past couple weeks, but this Broncos defense is one of the best in the NFL. Jalen Hurts could be in for a long day. Now, the last leg, Sunday Night Football, Raiders +9.5. And despite all the news and distractions for the Raiders, they continue to not only win some games, but play decent football. Now, I get it. Last week, letdown spot against the Giants. They just didn't play all too well, but they're playing against the Chiefs, who, honestly, if you're a Chiefs fan, you can't be necessarily you haven't been inspired by the Chiefs all that much. And last season, when these two teams matched up, not only did the Raiders go into Arrowhead, this was when the Chiefs were the vaunted Chiefs. They were the best team in the NFL. They were undefeated. The Raiders went into the Chiefs, to Arrowhead Stadium, beat them. I think they were the first loss for the Chiefs last year. And then the Chiefs came to to Las Vegas and beat the Raiders, but the Raiders still covered this 9.5 points. I think losing by 4, 31-35. So I'll take it. I think they can keep it within 10 on prime time. Now, finally, we will wrap it up with a player prop. Tennessee Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill over 249.5 passing yards, -115 on DraftKings. Now, I'll be the first to say it before you can go into the comments, Ryan Tannehill sucks, and I understand that. He has not been great this season. He's currently thrown 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and he's averaging only 238.3 passing yards per game. And he set this over in just 4 of 8 games. So now you're like, what the heck? Why are we taking an over for Ryan Tannehill? The reason is because of the matchup. Now, the Saints, they've been surrendering passing yards like it's Christmas. And Christmas is still, if you celebrate, we still got some time before it. They've been giving it up like there's no tomorrow. And now, why is that? Because they're such a tough team to run against. Now, you think about the teams like the Bucs. The Bucs, you would think, they got the best rushing defense in the NFL. Maybe they have the most talent, but statistically speaking, the Bucs allow 78 rushing yards per game. Second fewest in the NFL. But there's only one team better. The Saints currently only allowing 73.8 rushing yards per game, number 1 in the NFL. And that shows because teams just aren't running all too much against them. Now, since week 1, when they absolutely blitzed the Green Bay Packers, won 38-3, here's what QBs have done against them. Now, last week, they were Matt Ryan, 343 passing yards. Week before, 375 to Tom Brady, 167. The week before that to Geno Smith, 248 to Taylor Heineke, 402 to Daniel Jones, 270 to Mac Jones. And I believe Sam Darnold had 305. Now, the only 2 QBs to go under since week 1 were backup QBs. They starting in place of their injured starters. And even Taylor Heineke finished 2 yards short of cashing this over. Now, Tannehill, I think he's better than those 2 guys. And if you're Sean Payton, you know this team's without Derrick Henry. You're going to try to sell out and make them throw the ball because you know that they still want to run the ball even though they don't have Derrick Henry. And I think they'll make a concerted effort to stop that. So I see the Titans just coming out and saying, you know what, fine. We'll be pass happy just like all the rest of the teams in the NFL have been against you guys. And I think that you can get Ryan Tannehill over 249.5 passing yards. I think you can get us to there. So that'll do it. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. More player props and parlays coming in Saturday night's video. So make sure you're tuning into that one. Make sure you click that bell on the notification bar so you don't miss out on any of our uploads. We appreciate you guys. Have a great day. And we're going to go make some money this weekend. Peace.